Some of the most successful people in the world can't answer the question, are you happy? And I'm sure you find that question hard to answer too. Yet there are more happiness coaches that I can even count right now, sharing free value every single day. So what's going wrong? Where's the disconnect? And let's uncover how to get happy. Google's definition of happiness is a sense of well-being, joy, or contentment. When people are successful or safe or lucky, they feel happiness. Looking for more and wanting more is not necessarily a bad thing. I actually love spending time with people who are striving for more, people who have a drive to want more in life. But does this mean that it leaves us feeling empty, unhappy, and uncontent with what we already have? In this video, I'm going to give you actions that I am taking in order to make myself a little bit more happy, based on happiness coaches that I have heard in podcasts, in books, and read articles on. The first happiness hack, which might seem quite morbid, is actually confronting your mortality. This means coming to terms with the fact that you and me are all going to die, and this can actually make you happier. Not only does confronting mortality make you happier, but research suggests that it promotes better health and can lead to healthier behaviours, such as exercising more, smoking less, or using sun cream, for example. You start to care more about other people around you, you start to care more about yourself, and you start donating to causes and charities. The reason is quite simple, because death is inevitable, and when we are confronted with the fact that you and me are going to die, it makes us question our behaviours. It makes us aware of our limited time, our actions. It forces us to become aware that we are not going to be here forever. When your brain is forced to confront the end, you're hardwired to search for happy thoughts and take action to keep what you don't want to lose: your life. While there aren't many studies on how often you should think about death, Michael Easter, who is the author of The Comfort Crisis, interviewed people living in Bhutan, one of the happiest countries in the world, despite being the 134th most developed. They think about death 3 times a day as part of their happiness protocol. This might be too much for you to start thinking about death to start with, but acknowledging your limited time can actually help you to feel happier in the present moment. And not only that, but it can help you make the most of your days, help you cultivate your actions towards a better life, help you get healthier. And when you're healthier, you feel better, you feel more alive, you feel happier overall. So ways that I am confronting mortality is predominantly setting a reminder to actually remind myself of the fact that I am not going to be here forever. And that encourages me to either text my mum, to text my loved ones, or to check in with the work that I'm doing in my business and really ask myself, am I enjoying this? Am I enjoying the work that I do? Do I feel like it contributes to a bigger cause that I care about? Or am I okay with doing work that I don't enjoy right now for delayed gratification and for happiness, more happiness in the future? Start confronting your mortality once a day by setting a reminder on your phone, either a reminder or an alarm that just reminds you that you are not going to be here. It's morbid, yes, but I always feel like the things that have the biggest contrast, like dying versus happiness, living a happy, fulfilled life, they usually make the most sense. So remind yourself of this in order to get this. Vex King quotes, "Comparison is the biggest killer of happiness. Don't compare what you lack with what others have, because they also lack something that you have. Instead, appreciate the blessings that we all occupy." Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy and the killer of happiness, but I don't think it's all that bad. Comparing yourself to you and where you used to be is always the best way to go. However, I don't think you can fully trust this, because sometimes you are genuinely healthier than you used to be, and that can even make you feel less than and feel bad. Whereas we have so much access to successful people right now, and it's incredible that we can actually compare ourselves to successful people, and we can actually think, okay, but this means that I can do that too. So comparing yourself in a positive way rather than avoiding comparison altogether, I think is a better way to go about it, because it builds up your character as well. It makes you able to compare whilst not feeling less of a person, and it also allows you to discover and see what is actually possible for you, rather than totally retracting, not comparing yourself, and not even looking at what other people are doing because you're too afraid that it's going to kill your happiness or be a thief of your joy, but actually learn to compare yourself in a healthy way. So Vex King, the author of Good Vibes, Good Life, I think it's called, says that comparison is the biggest killer of happiness. I don't know how much I agree, because I think comparison can also push you and fuel you and lead you to a happier life. Some ways in which I try to healthily compare myself to my friends or to successful people on the internet is by really getting real and acknowledging what they have and asking myself if I want that too. Because the more that you know yourself, the more that you know your values, the more that you know what your priority layer is right now, which I discussed priority layers in my time management video, the more you understand that, the less you compare and the less you get fear, FOMO, the less you feel like you want what they have and they make you feel like less than, because you know what you want. And if they have that, then it just reassures you that it's possible. Mo Gauda is one of the world's biggest happiness coaches, and any podcast that he guests on is absolutely incredible. So if you haven't heard him in podcast, then I definitely recommend listening to his interviews. His story is amazing, and I have a lot of respect for him. Here are some happiness hacks that Mo Gauda, literally the chief happiness officer, recommends. The first one is to log your gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful practice for acknowledging where you are at in order to get further. So for example, gratitude journaling, writing down 3 to 5 to 10 things that you're grateful for every single day when you wake up or when you go to sleep. It just allows you to be grateful for what you have in the moment, because if you aren't grateful for what you already have, it's much harder and it's way less fun to strive for something more. The second tip by Mo Gauda is getting into flow. This means getting into flow states and getting lost in either an activity or work that you absolutely love. Whenever I have done logging my gratitude, I instantly feel a bit more secure and a bit more content with what I have now. But it still doesn't stop me from working for more. It just allows me to acknowledge that I already have so much and I should appreciate what I have without stopping me from striving for more. If you don't do work that gets you into flow and that gets your creative juices flowing, that you can't get lost, where time just doesn't mean anything, you don't think about food, you don't think about your next meal, you don't think about who you're gonna date, anything like that, that is an amazing way to feel good in the present moment. So much of the time we're focusing on how we're going to feel and how our future self is going to feel, but let's acknowledge how our present selves feel. And if we want our present self, you right now, if you want to feel good right now, finding activities and work that gets you into flow is a really quick way to feel good. Mark Manson wrote the book The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and I hate saying that word, which is basically a book all about not caring what other people think and doing what you want to do. I also love That's Bold of You, a book by Case Kenny. I recently listened to this and I think it's one of those books that actually, you know, like you read some books and you're like, yeah, that was good, but there's some books you read and you're like, that changed things for me. And Case Kenny's book, That's Bold of You, was one of those books for me. And these books basically expand on the idea that you do you and don't care what other people think. As long as you aren't hurting anyone, nobody is watching you and nobody cares. So many of us suffer from spotlight effect, including me, which stops us from acting on something, stops us from starting a conversation with someone, because we're so hyper-focused on what other people think, as if there is a spotlight on us and everybody's watching. We think that all of these people are just pairs of eyes, and we forget that they are just like us, that they are also suffering the spotlight effect. So if they're also suffering the spotlight effect, then they're not thinking about us because they're thinking about them. Remember this, next time you want to do something, next time you want to approach someone, or next time you want to dance in public or shout something, I don't know, next time you want to do something that might attract attention, but you're too afraid of doing that because of spotlight effect or just attracting attention, and you're too afraid of what people think, remind yourself that everybody is also a human being who is also very likely thinking about what they look like thinking about how they are showing up in the world, and thinking about how people are looking at them. Both of the books that I mentioned expand on this so much further if you really struggle with going out in public and even thinking that everybody is looking at you or watching you, because this happened to me a few months back now, where I literally felt anxious going to the gym and doing normal things because I felt like everyone's eyes were on me. It sounds so like self-obsessed and self-absorbed, but it's not like that at all, because it's like you don't want that, but you just feel like everybody's watching you, and it's not true, but your brain is telling you it is true. It's a messy thing to get into, so I recommend both of those books if you really do struggle with that. Happiness in life comes down to a few key things, and one of those things is doing things for other people. How can you help other people? If you are struggling to feel happy, do something for somebody else and stop thinking about yourself. Because as soon as you give something, whether it's your time, whether it's a gift, whether it's an act of service to someone, you get that boost of endorphins and like, oh yay, I just did something for someone, I am a good person, and that helps you feel happy. The more that you do this, the happier you will become, because the happier other people will feel when they are around you as well. I'm not saying that your friendship should be based on you giving and buying things, nothing like that, but how can you just be a nice person to the people who are in your life? Because then in turn, the universe is going to give you more nice people, they're going to be kinder to you. You know, you attract what you are putting out there into the universe. Community is also a major key to human happiness. If you are alone right now, or you don't feel like you had that community, I recommend joining clubs, and I recommend finding your people. Now, I have videos on making friends, but a few tips would be to go on GoFriendly, to join new clubs, to be active in Facebook groups, to go to events alone. These things aren't easy, I know, but they will help you to find your people, to find your tribe. Because for so long, I didn't really acknowledge how important it was to have like close friends. I thought, well, if I have my work, if I have like my purpose with the work that I do and my business and, you know, my family, that's enough. But friends and having good quality, high quality friendships, nothing quite beats that. I can say firsthand that my friends have a huge contribution to my happiness, because humans are social creatures. So don't skimp out on your friendships because you're too good to have friends. Flow state is a major key to happiness and your health and your well-being, because if you don't have your baseline health, you can't start to stack on top of that. Here is an example of kind of how I view happiness, and is like what I'm trying to communicate here to you when it comes to happiness. It's health is the baseline of everything in life, and you can find flow in your health depending on the clubs that you go to, the gym that you attend, how you stay healthy, cooking, nutritious meals, etc. You can find flow state in health. Then you have community, where you can also find flow, hanging around with friends, hanging around with family, joining clubs, feeling a part of a team. Really, really important for human nature and human happiness. And then you have your work and your career, which you can also find flow in. Your work and your career is so, so important, because you spend around 80% of your day's, week's life in your job and working on your career, or whether you're studying at the moment, you spend so much of your life on that. So people who recommend that you live for the weekends, or that it doesn't matter if you don't like your job, it doesn't matter if your job is boring because you have holidays and you can afford an amazing life, I disagree with that, simply because you spend so much time in your work. So much time. Now, I know that in the beginning, when you're running a business, for example, I know firsthand how much time that will take. And I know that it's not that fun, you know? But long term, we want to be thinking about work and a career that is actually enjoyable in the moment, because that is the key to happiness. And there is something called deferred happiness syndrome, which means that you are constantly deferring your happiness because you feel like it will come once you achieve a certain thing. Whereas if you have a career and work that you enjoy, you are not, or it's less likely that you will suffer from that deferred happiness syndrome. Self-improvement is at the top, because once you have all of these baselines covered, you can then make room for self-improvement and developing your life, increasing your finances, increasing your health, expanding your work, your business, expanding your communities, doing things, just bonuses that just add to living a fulfilled and happy life. So that is how I categorize happiness. Before I end this video, I want to bust some common myths about happiness which are actually hindering you from feeling happy right now. Number one is that money will make you happy. That is true to an extent. Money will give you so much space and energy and time and freedom, or not necessarily time, but space and energy and freedom, hopefully, but it won't necessarily buy you community, and it won't buy you health. And this is where we go wrong with money. If you are not working on these two things, whilst you're working on your finances and making a lot of money, then when you have all that money and you don't have these two things, you won't feel happy. So that's why money doesn't make you happy, but it does give you so many other things which give you the ability to feel a false sense of happiness. Material things will make you happy. This we know is not true. I mean, yes, my mobile phone, for example, brings me a lot of joy and I'm happy that I have it, but material things like clothing and gadgets, again, they're not health and they're not community and they're not your work. So they are not going to contribute to your overall happiness and fulfillment in life. Happiness is genetic. Obviously, this is very complex, and there is a lot of information around things like depression and anxiety and those linking to chemicals in your brain, but there's also a lot of information saying that that is in fact not true and it's not genetic after all. Happiness is not genetic, but the way that you are brought up from a very young age will determine how you can be happy now as an adult, which can make us think that it's genetics, and it can lead us to feeling like, yes, but I've never felt happiness before. It's not in my genes. My mum, my dad, they don't feel it, so I can't feel it, which is not true. It just takes a lot of rewiring and unlearning. Losing weight will make you happy. Again, not necessarily true, but having that health will contribute to your happiness. Losing weight and health are not always the same thing. I'll be happy when I'm married, when I'm in a relationship. I'll be happy when I have that job. I'll be happy when I make 10k. This is deferred happiness syndrome, and this is a myth around happiness, that you will be happy when you can, and you have the ability to be happy right now while still striving towards what you really, really want. And I know if you clicked on this video and if you watch my videos, you probably want more from life, and I get it. And you can want and you can get more from life while still feeling pretty happy in this present moment. I hope you enjoyed this video of breaking down some happiness hacks, some happiness myths, and my little pyramid of happiness. And let me know what you think of the video. I love reading your comments. Have a beautiful day, week, month, life, and don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.